Hello, everyone. My name is Silva Tiaga. I am a community manager of the Cisco community and the host of today's event. Thank you very much for joining today. Happy New Year, and I hope this new 2022 is great for all of you. So today we are going to talk about Meet Cisco Secure X, security alternative for all of you in the cloud. So I'm going to share a couple of details about the community and some activities and information that we have before we get started. So what is coming up? So first of all, we have some spotlight awards. What we do in the community is like for everybody who shared the time, their knowledge, and some solutions and help others, we recognize them every month and give them the spotlight award that help them out to achieve many details and also getting more recognition around the community and in the tech world. If you would like to see the new the new awardees, sorry, you can see them in the link that is allocated in the screen. Also, would like to remind you that if you would like to become a Spotlight awardee, another kind of VIP award, for instance, someone who participates a lot in the community or get recognition or simply help others and meet other experts around the world, well, remember to give helpful votes when you see content that is relevant and important in the community. Why? That helps you to gain points and recognition to become that top member or to help others to identify what is valuable. For instance, if you see that someone posted a document and it's good, just give it a helpful vote. It's very easy, as you can see on your screen. You just have to click on the tiny star. Or if someone give you an answer to your question and the answer is correct, don't forget to mark it as an accepted solution. So in future, when someone has a similar question and just type it either in the community or any search engine, for instance, Google, they can see which is the correct answer for that problem. So I would like to introduce you to our experts today. So we got Luis Silva, which is going to be the presenter. He's a customer success manager and he has tons of experience in Cisco. So Luis, welcome. And if you'd like to say some words, we will kindly appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you very much for having us today. It's really a pleasure to be presenting today about SecureX, and we'll also join my colleagues. So definitely, I hope that you can get the best of this session, and we're more than glad to answer all your questions. And as Hilda was saying, feel free to post all your questions and make sure that you don't get any outstanding questions. So please let us know what questions you have about SecureX, and we'll be more than glad to answer them.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Luis. And also, we have Scott Nishimura to give a hand to Luis. So that means in the meantime that Luis is presenting and give some thoughts about everything or demos, Scott can help you out to solve all your questions. So welcome, Scott, and thank you so much for joining today.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining. Yep, feel free to send us some questions and we'll go ahead and answer them for you. Thank you.
Thank you. And also, you will be able to download the presentation from the Cisco community. It will be available in just a couple of minutes. So one is totally updated in the community. I will set out the link in the chat for your convenience, okay? So to get started, we are going to start with this polling question. It says, do you know Cisco Secure X, yes or no? I know the question seems very simple, but that's going to help us out to know how much we can give you and how many details they can provide to you. And in the meantime, we open the polling question. I'm going to provide the presenter's vote to Luis so he can get started with this presentation. And once again, thank you so much for joining today. So Luis, let me give you the presenter's vote. So now you can get started with this presentation.
Perfect. So thanks everyone for answering. I see all the questions, which is really, really good. So it seems that we have a divided response. So 37% of our people so far have used SecureX and 30% have not, which is really good. So we'll be discussing different details and in different levels. SecureX, the idea is to cover every single detail about SecureX in general. So the idea is to you get to know a little bit more the platform and make sure that everything is well, it's more clear after you finish here in our session. As you can see, those are the main 5 topics that we will be discussing. You don't see like a demo bullet here because we'll be doing a short demo after every single section, so it does not get too bored and too many slides for you guys to see. So definitely, I hope that you enjoyed. So a little bit of an introduction of SecureX. This is a cloud native platform where we have been building over many years. So we started this process since 2017 and you know that Cisco has been purchasing and acquiring multiple security products. And the idea has been to integrate all these products within SecureX so we can make sure that we can increase visibility and make sure that you know what's going on in your environment and you can take multiple actions when you're using SecureX. So as you can see here, we have the component of Cisco Secure Network and also all the products. And something very important for the ones that haven't heard about SecureX is that this is let's say a free offering when you own a security product, for example, Cisco Umbrella or Cisco Firepower or email secure, any email security product like our ESA or CES, that is the cloud version. So definitely this is an option that is available and not cost for you for being a Cisco Secure customer. We also integrate with multiple third-party devices, even though in your network, like your SIM or your SOAR, and we integrate with multiple security intelligence sources. So that's basically a short introduction of SecureX. And why do we think that this is really useful for you? Because first of all, it simplifies the way that you can understand your network and the way that threats might be getting into your network. It gives you visibility. Remember that if we do not know what's going on in our network, we don't know how to defend it. So definitely visibility is a key pillar in this we'll say about Cisco Security and Cisco Secure X, and definitely efficiency. You will see that when we start talking about orchestration and when we start talking about how to automate different workflows, is definitely gives you more efficiency when we're talking about SecureX. So definitely these three key points are the let's say the three values that we consider the most, and how we will bring additional value to your company when you start using SecureX. So we're going to be discussing a little bit about the dashboard. The first thing that we would like to tell you is that we have a single sign-on offering. So in case if, for example, you're a SecureX customer plus secure endpoint customer or an umbrella customer. So the idea is that you'll be able to manage this with only one login. So in case you don't have to to remember multiple logins, and you don't have to say, oh, what was my secure endpoint password or what was my malware analysis password. So definitely this simplifies the way that you used to log in into your multiple accounts, and it also simplifies the way that we can retrieve information. This is how the console looks like. So this is a screenshot, and we'll be doing a short demo after this couple of slides. But probably the main key point that you will see here is how this SecureX dashboard is organized. So you can see that at the left-hand side, we have all the integrations that are available, all the ones that you have been using or that you have onboard or integrate with your SecureX platform. At the middle, we can see all the tiles that you can customize and create. In this case, we're seeing one dashboard that was created by one of the administrators. And in the right-hand side of the screen, you will see all the news related to SecureX. So if we added a new integration, or if we are having, for example, a new workload or anything that is new related to SecureX and Cisco Talos, you will see it there. So that's basically a summary of the dashboard that we have. Probably the main reason why SecureX is very useful at this point is that it will do API queries to all of the devices, and we have been working on this since a very long time. So that's why you have been noticing that all of our security products are API driven, and that's why Cisco is also pushing a lot in our DevNet certifications, and there's automation journey. So definitely this has given additional boost to SecureX. So as you can see here, we have different integrations that we have been able to onboard. For example, you can see our AMP for endpoints or secure endpoint. We have orchestration. We have what we formerly known as Stealthwatch. Now it is called Secure Analytics. We have also third-party integrations like Gigaman or Fireside. Some of them might be free. We offer multiple free third-party integrations. We also have an option to run some trials on a specific third-party integrations, mainly for security intelligence. So definitely a very good option when we're talking about modules and integrations. So let me, before we start the polling question, let me show you a little bit about SecureX. So again, this is exactly the same dashboard that you were seeing. And when you log in, you will be able to see multiple tiles that were created. Something that you guys will notice is that you can resize these tiles and you can arrange them the way that you will like, in case you are looking for a specific information on the dashboard itself. You can see, for example, here we're talking about AMP for endpoints or secure endpoint. We're getting information about firepower. You can, as I was saying, minimize them, or you can arrange them and move them around in case the way that you initially set them up is not what you're looking for. So definitely it gives you visibility of all the information that you will like. We have different type of charts, different type of styles that you will be able to use. So you can see pie chart, bar charts, and different information that we're able to pull from our integrations. Talking about integrations, well, you can see here in the left-hand side panel where we can see all the applications that we have and all the integrations. Initially, you will see the ones that are enabled, and after that, you will see the Cisco-specific integrations. So you can see here Virus Total, Threat Grid, Secure Workload, Stealthwatch, Cloud Mailbox, other of our email solutions or offerings, and all the third-party integrations. Like you can see here, Akamai, Basel, and some other ones. So we have many or multiple integrations that we'll be talking about on the course of this presentation. So here you will see that we have a specific dashboard or this specific section or of our SecureX console where you can see all the integrations that we have and all the third party and list them. So in case you will be able to add them to your console. Okay, we also have our threat response application. We will be discussing that in our next demo, and also we have our security service exchange. We use this specific portion of the portal to do integration with Cisco security devices that we have on-prem. For example, a firepower and for example, Statewatch Enterprise, which is something that we have on-prem. So definitely we have the option to integrate with that, and it will act, let's say, for example, as a proxy with the applications that we have on-prem and with the our SecureX offering that is in the cloud. Okay, so now we can ask you another question about SecureX, and I see that the polling question has popped up. So which security products do you use in your enterprise? So we have multiple offerings, Cisco email security, firewall, endpoint security, cloud security. So feel free to answer those questions and give us some insight. So let me pause for 30 seconds so we can answer that question. Perfect. So we see, oh, it's very interesting. We see people that use our firewall products. 39% will use also the endpoint protection. Excellent. Also cloud security. Oh, that's great. So as you can see here, we have our SecureX integrations, and based on what we saw on the specific demo. So for secure endpoint, we can see information about orbital and also malware analysis. For Umbrella, I have integrated with not only, let's say, our network regular offering DNS solution, but also with SIG, our secure Ethernet gateway offering. So we will get all the information from that specific portion of the product. And also talking about secure firewall of our firepower offering, including Defense Orchestrator, and also secure email appliance, web appliance, all the offerings that we used to call ESA, WSA, or Iron Port for the ones that have been tracking our acquisitions for many years ago. And we have also cloud analytics, network analytics that used to be StealthWatch, and secure workload that we used to call Tetration. So definitely a lot of integrations. We also have the possibility to do like a relay server in case, for example, you see that there's an integration that we do not support at this point. So probably you have seen it advertised in our website and also in different SecureX forums. So you can either build it in your own environment, or you can also build it in AWS as a serverless option. Definitely, that's probably the most encouraged one, since you will not be managing all the server power and the actual overhead that you'll have to consider when you're managing a server, an application, and a server. But definitely, this is very, very very useful. We can see it here in our next slide, where do we can set up this specific serverless application or relay application for for a third-party integration that has not been developed by anyone. So definitely you can work on that. We give you the option to set up that, and you can configure those integrations. And as you can see in this slide, you can write your own. There's actually a link when we shared this slide. You can visit this specific website that it's actually a GitHub repository with you will have all the instructions to install and develop this serverless or relay application. So you can get information from other third-party integrations. At this point, as you can see here in this slide, we have multiple interactions or multiple integrations with third-party companies, including, you can see here, VirusTotal, Radware, Splunk. So if you have a SIM that runs on on your network, and you will like to provide those insight or that intelligence to SecureX, so it can get more information and can easily track attackers that might be affecting your network. So definitely that's a very good option. You can also see here IBM security. So definitely Curator is going to be there. So it depends on which specific SIM or SOAR application you're using. Definitely you will be able to integrate with them. Okay, after discussing about integrations and how do we can work with them, we're gonna present you guys another option that we have as part of the SecureX offering, that is the ribbon. And this is actually like a toolbox that will give you the possibility to manage in an easier way all the incident and what we call casebooks. So you can simplify the way that you track specific events or security events. So you can put it together on what we call a casebook. So in case that you are currently investigating a specific potential attack or a potential compromise situation, you can put it together, for example, in a casebook. And this specific ribbon, first of all, will follow you on every single Cisco Secure application, but also will keep track of who's working on a specific case, or you can also share this specific casebook with other people. So definitely the ribbon is very handy when we're talking about tracking any kind of incident. So you can see a screenshot of the incident, and in the demo I'll show you how it looks like in the actual console. So definitely very useful. Here you have at the left-hand side the incidents. In the middle, we have the information of those incidents. And in the right-hand side, you have information of who's able to manage this incident, when was it created, which people can get access to this specific one. At the top, you can see that you can move to a specific, well, to home or to a casebook. So definitely something very, very useful when you're tracking an incident. Let me go back to my demo so you can see it. So here you can see it at the bottom. And actually this is too big, but I think it gives you the like a good understanding of all the incidents. And this specific incidents, as you can see, they were promoted by our firepower or secure firewall device, NGFW device. And we can see all the observables that it was able to identify or that triggered this incident or this intrusion event. So the observables are mainly all what we can track, and we will be discussing this, but all what we can track or that can give us some insight of what's going on. For example, an IP address will be considered unobservable. A URL will be considered unobservable. So multiple, a SHA file will be considered unobservable. So definitely those are all the things that we can track that SecureX will be able to put together in the console and let you know what's going on in the network. And we have here, for example, our home, and we can move, for example, from SecureX and directly pivot to Umbrella. So it will use the single sign-on authentication that we set up and give you the possibility to log into the other consoles. So as you can see, well, this is a demo environment, but definitely you can see that I didn't have to introduce my login credentials to get into Umbrella. Same happens to the other offerings that you can see here, secure endpoint, threat grid. So definitely this is very, very useful when we're talking about how to easily track and manage your day-to-day. We understand that you do not have time to log into multiple consoles, so definitely this will be very, very useful. So we have casebooks that other people, other engineers have created in my organizations, and as you can see here, for example, in this JT case V3, we can see that we have identified 10 domains that our colleague JT identified, that he was able to add to this casebook 9 SHA values, and we have also 9 additional URLs just ready to investigate. And as you can see here, if I click this specific button, it will attempt to investigate it in our threat response console. So it will grab all that information and attempt to query all our integrations and see where we have seen this specific interaction. So definitely very, very useful at this point where we're tracking something that could have been affecting our network. Something additional that I would like to show you in regards, because it is very is related to our SecureX ribbon, is our SecureX plugin that has been created for Chrome and also for Firefox. If you're a Chrome user or a Firefox user, you will be able to create it. And I'm gonna do the integration right now so you can see how easy it is to do the integration. So let me make this smaller so you can see how easy it is to create one. So I'm gonna, oh, and this one I don't have the, Tim said on this one I don't have the rights to do it. But let me go to one console where I'll have the option to do it. So we have, I know, what was it? Okay, I was clicking in the incorrect tab. So we would like to do an API integration. So we click where it says generate API, and this gonna just do put a friendly name. This is a test for support community. So I'm gonna do it this way. I'm just gonna select all the privileges in this case, just for a test for you guys. So here we have the client ID. I'm gonna use it. Very, very important. It depends on your region. So if you're in in Asia, probably you would like to select the APJC region. If you're in Europe, the EUA, but if you're in North America, you can select that one specifically. Okay, let me copy to clipboard. And let's do it here. Perfect. And let's go back. And this is the secret. Something very important, and probably you're already familiar with this. This is the last time that you will see the actual client password. So make sure that you save it on a secure place where if for some reason you need to do this integration again, you will have the possibility to do it. And if you see here, for example, the information that we're getting from the casebooks and also from the incidents is exactly the same that we're seeing on the ribbon. So we're actually sharing the information with the browser extension, also with the dashboard and with the ribbon. So definitely very useful. You can see that the user that I'm using is here, and you can move to different extensions. Something that I find very useful, because we know that you're not gonna be in front of your PC all the time, is that if, for example, you're on a security blog and you're just noticed about a new threat, and let's assume that this is a new threat, I will load a rat, and we have different blogs that Cisco Talos creates for every time that there is a new attack. We have one, for example, for Log4j and some other ones that have been popping up in the latest, in a few months ago. So definitely check out Talos Intelligence if you haven't. So something really cool about this browser extension is that we can tell the browser extension to search all the observables that it is able to find in a specific web page. So it is able to capture all the information and all the observables that it identifies in the blog or in the web page. So as you can see, for example, in our Talos Intelligence blog, you will see here all the IOCs, the indication of compromise that we have been able to find related to this malware or to this attack, all the documents that were related, all the MSI, and you can see here that that is the actual SHA value, also the a specific domain name of the command and control URL. So definitely that's very useful. And you can probably, I'm not sure if you can see if it is too small, but it will tell you if we consider upfront if this domain is malicious or not. So there's like a red icon that tells you that it's malicious. For example, the first one that you will see, there's nord.org. You see that it is considered clean. So definitely very, very useful. We can add it to a specific casebook. So you can investigate it later, or if you say, no, let's investigate it now. So it will, again, query all of our modules and make sure if we're getting the, well, we have seen any trace of this URLs or domains in our network. So definitely very, very useful. This was from our last the last time that we were doing a search. Okay, so let's go back to our presentation. Okay, now we're gonna talk about what we call our threat response portion. So the idea is to minimize the time that that it takes you to identify a threat. So it will create all the relational graphs, and it will tell you how this specific application or this specific domain has interacted with all the hosts and all the devices that you have on board in SecureX to make sure if they have seen any trace of this malware or of this attack in your network. The idea is to help you discover it as fast as we could, so you can save time and start some specific remediation process. Okay, so this is how our SecureX threat response offering looks like. So as you can see here at the top, we have what we call our investigation window. Here you can manually, for example, tell our console what specific observables you would like to search. And when we click, for example, on investigate or add to a casebook, it will automatically populate those. So if you're concerned on a specific shell file or in a specific domain, definitely you can manually put it and click on investigate, and it will tell you if at some point we have seen it in your network. This is the relational graph. Very, very important about it is that if you see a purple icon like this one, that means that this is a target in your network. It does not mean that it has been infected by something, but it is something that has been related to the observable that we're searching for. And also, it will search for different observables that are related to that specific device that we're searching or indication of compromise. Something else that is really, really important is the magnifying glass that you see next to the icon. That means that we're investigating that specific item. So in this case, we're investigating that IP 108.62.141.247, and also the Office360.com domain that we have considered at this point malicious. So this is very important. Colors really matter in our SecureX environment. And I think that it will be very easy to identify that probably something comes in red compared to the other ones that are gray. That definitely brings something to your attention, because since we're very color driven, and we get the attention from different or from images, it definitely makes sense to have this option. So at the top, we can see like the investigation timeline. So it will tell you when we start seeing these observables kicking in in your environment in general, and how it has behaved. And we also have like the global tab, so you can see your environment versus the rest of the world. How is that behaving? And the last part, you will see the information of every observable, how we have categorized, where we have gotten this information, so you can make sure that the data that you're getting is definitely reliable, and you can share it or compare it with other let's say compare it with other URLs that have been related or that are part of our malicious campaign. Okay, some of the use case, and probably you guys have noticed this, is that the first one will be threat response. So we would like to track ransomware, server-based attacks, fileless malware, any crypto mining activity that you haven't noticed, and that definitely it's worth to identify, since they are using your server power to mine any type of Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency in your environment. Identify any phishing attacks. If, for example, you have integration with our email security solution, definitely makes sense to have it in your environment. Any corporate espionage or IoT attacks, we know that that's very common for IoT devices to be compromised lately. So definitely it's very useful to have all the information and all the visibility of what's going on in your network. As we were discussing, there are three main pillars when we're talking about SecureX. So the first one is the intelligence, so the information that we get from, for example, third-party sources or even our Talos intelligence, that is our main source of information, that has a group of engineers that are working 24/7 trying to identify new attacks, and that all that information is being shared within all the Cisco security products. So that's very useful. And also all the third-party integrations that we have been using with the SecureX that we have discussed previously. The other pillar of how we understand what's going on if you're in your network is the local security context. So that's all the devices that you have on board and that we have integrations directly with. So for example, our endpoint solution or email security solution, any analytics that we can get information from, not only Cisco, but also or your SIM, the network firewall where we could be getting some information from, web security appliances, and also the third part of this that is very, very important is the response. How can we respond without taking too long? So we will also cover that. We can block directly destinations on Umbrella. We can also block files in AMP for endpoints. We can, by using orchestration, create a workflow that will directly get information or direct communication to a specific server and provide an action. So definitely that's something that that is very, very useful at this point. So how do we get the information from your local devices and also from the cloud applications that we have? And this is probably the most important part of how enrichment works. So we will be getting information that it's going to be shared with SecureX. We're going to query all the applications and all the modules that have been onboarded. And after that, we'll be getting information back from them. If they have seen this indication of compromise or any of these observables in their logs on in your network, so we can correlate that information and make sure that we present it on a very good way. After we have gotten that information, SecureX will execute, let's say, the response capabilities that it has, as I was saying, with either orchestration or any other way that we can configure it in SecureX. So from the dashboard, we can configure specific actions that can help you respond to any specific malicious attempt or malicious action, and gives you the possibility to take an action in a few seconds. As we were discussing previously, we have ways of recording information. One was the casebook that we already discussed. It's a way to track your information, and it's more like let's say like a notepad where you can drag and drop all your observables, all the information that we have in regards to an attack or a potential attack, and it gives you the option to investigate it. Also, we have the incidents that you have seen a little bit when we were discussing about our ribbon. That those are mainly potential attacks that we have seen based on, for example, our integration with our next generation firewall. So those events are promoted to incidents, since we consider that they are malicious. And also, we have our last one that is a snapshot. So when you're doing an investigation, you can set up a snapshot and save all the investigation that you have done, so you can review it later. So definitely, this is very, very useful. So let me go back to our dashboard, and so we have, and this one was arranged a little bit different. But yeah, here we have a host that, as we were discussing, it's a target. You have it in purple, and we are investigating this specific URL. You can see the magnifying glass, so definitely is something that we're investigating. So as you can see, we have multiple actions here that we can take. For example, we can isolate a host. We can, for example, view information about this specific domain in Umbrella, we can block this domain. And I think we were not seeing it because of the way the dashboard. Yeah, so we can block or unblock. In this case, this specific domain has been already blocked, but we can unblock it as fast as you can see. It has been unblocked, and we can manually block it again. So it's really, really fast to perform actions here. If, for example, you have a Meraki device in your network and has been registered to SecureX, we can create layer 3 outbound firewall rules in case that's something that you have already configured. If you have any interaction with ServiceNow, we can put a request so a firewall rule can be created. So definitely something that can automate your process so the request can be done. If we would like to take a forensic snapshot using Orbital, that's something that we can definitely do just from the console and without going to any other console. So definitely very, very useful. And you can see all the other observables that at least for this search, we have been able to identify. And at this moment, we just saw this specific URL for this specific target. So I think we might have another one open here. Let me see if I still have it open. No, it seems that I don't. But let's run this one, for example, with WannaCry. And you might be familiar with this one. It was very popular in 2017. So we're gonna again use let's say our plugin. We're gonna select all the observables. And did I select them? I think I didn't. Select all and investigate threat response. Okay. Also another way, and probably going back here and to the ribbon, was here under the incidents. I think this one might be very useful. Let's do decloud so we can investigate and a specific one. You can see here, for example, the summary of all the information, where this was collected, the timeline, when was it created, all the sightings or the modules that report that this specific one was founded. So we have here more of them. I'm actually looking for probably this one will be useful to search. We can select all, click on investigate. So you can see that it will create different and multiple tabs depending on where you're investigating. So definitely it will be easier for you to track those. So as you can see, you can move this specific icons depending on where you want to see it in your network and when you're analyzing. So definitely that's very, very useful. Also, you can add files to your investigation. So for example, if I would like to add a file that for some reason is not considered as part of the investigation, I can tell to the console, hey, I think we missed this one. Let's add it to the investigation and see how it relates to the other one. So definitely very useful. If you would like to see, for example, information of a malicious domain and which specific module has reported that, you can see it here. For example, this one was reported malicious by Umbrella, also reported malicious by our Alpha Mountain integration. And this is actually the format of the information that we're getting from Umbrella. Same with the Alpha Mountain information. So we're basically doing an API query to them, and they return us this JSON file with the information that we required. Same with the Talos Intelligence verdict, and this case is malicious. So definitely it gives you a lot of information about the actual attack. Same here. So you can see that we have multiple devices that have been a target in this case. of one of the malicious integrations. So, and something useful is that you can definitely move this graph so it will make sense for you and will be aligned in a better way so you can easily investigate a specific attack. Okay, let's see if the other one that I had already rendered. So this one is the WannaCry one, if I'm not mistaken. So you can see a lot of targets in our network, a lot of devices that have been visiting a specific malicious domain and that were in contact with a malicious file. So you can see where this is coming from and how we can relay that this specific WannaCry demo PC that we have has been able to talk with all those malicious files, and that's why it was infected. So definitely a good source of information when you're investigating. Okay. Excellent. So let's go back to our presentation, and we have our third polling question. That is, are you familiar with SecureX Orchestration? Hopefully that 37% that are familiar with SecureX also let us know if they are familiar with SecureX Orchestration.
Thanks for everything, Luis. And actually, Scott's saying he's getting bored. No, that's a joke. No, but Scott is really good at answering questions. So if you have any extra question, just please let us know. And I do have a question, Luis, or Scott, any of you who would like to jump in. And this is a very simple question for someone. What kind of license am I need to have to get access to Cisco Secure X, or how can I access to Cisco Secure X?
Sure, Scott, would you like to take that one so the audience can listen a different voice?
Yeah, I can definitely answer that question. So as far as the licensing that's required, as long as you own one of the Cisco products, then you're entitled to use the SecureX. And one of the questions that was sent earlier, I do have a link included in there, which shows you all the different SecureX integrations that we have. And so if you have one of the products there, then you have access to the SecureX side of things.
All right. Okay, so let's give you the polling results as well, and then you can continue with the presentation and we continue solving some of the questions. Thank you, Scott.
Perfect. Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Ilda. So it seems that only 5% of our audience has been involved with SecureX orchestration. So hopefully this will be useful and you can start using it a little bit more. So great. So basically why we came with SecureX orchestration is to maximize the operational efficiency. So basically we know that probably in your network, there's a lot of playbooks, a lot of potential ways of automating, and probably your development team has been building some of scripts that can help you out automating some of your tasks, but definitely sometimes we don't have the time to manage those, or we don't know exactly how they work, so probably we do not use them as often as we could. So definitely the idea here is to automate the way that we work, and we will be discussing also the difference between automation and orchestration. So the idea is to simplify the way that you guys perform tasks and simplify the way that we approach under a specific circumstance. And mainly in this case, since this is a security product, we'll be mainly focusing on security activities, but definitely the idea is to reduce the overhead and the time that it takes you to perform a specific task or group of tasks. So here in SecureX orchestration, we simply, or we will try to do process automation with no low code. So basically, the idea is that you don't have to know any specific well, you don't have to know how to code or any programming in a specific language. There are options to, for example, import a Python script, but if you don't have that specific knowledge, you don't have to use, for example, that portion of the dashboard. You can simply drag blocks in what we call our canvas, and it will look like a workflow or a diagram that we used to see when we were in college, and the one that it will help you build the like the logic behind your program or the program that you were using. So definitely it gives you the possibility to investigate, automate, easily integrate with third-party applications and devices that you might have in your network. And of course, scale, since you're not gonna be required to do the activities manually, you will be able to do it with orchestration. Okay, this is how the console looks like. It's as you can see in the right-hand panel, sorry, in the left-hand side panel, you will see all the activities and options that we have. And this is just a portion of the options. We have multiple more. In the middle, we have the section where you can drop all the charts and all the let's say activities that you will be performing. We have multiple actions, loops, and we are able to call, for example, different workloads. So definitely very, very useful. So you can integrate multiple workloads. So if, for example, you have created one to do one specific activity, you don't have to rebuild it from scratch. If you wanted to integrate it with other ones that you're using. So definitely it's a very good option to reuse all the activities that you have previously configured and previously created, so it can be done for future all automations. So here we define like the difference between automation and orchestration, and probably for some people they might seem like exactly the same, but as you can see there, automation is basically the ability of perform an individual task multiple ways, well, multiple times, sorry. But when we're talking about orchestration, is putting multiple tasks together that probably might not be automated at this point, and resulting in a consolidated process or workflow. So with no intervention, you can do multiple activities and make sure that they are completed, let's say, without doing it or without your manual intervention. So definitely that helps a lot in your day-to-day. And the fact that we're trying to reduce the overhead for you to, for example, block in a specific domain or do specific activities when you're doing investigation. So definitely makes sense to bring this specific portion that is the orchestration piece. This is something that is relatively new, that is the SecureX Orchestration Remote. This is actually the way that we can communicate, for example, with devices in the network. And this is a virtual, well, an OVA that you can deploy in your VMware infrastructure that will give you the possibility and that will proxy the connections between your internal network and our SecureX offering in the cloud. As you can see, it uses a specific TCP port, and it's a secure communication since it goes through the internet, but it's an encrypted communication between your remote orchestration proxy device, let's say that way, and our cloud SecureX offering. As you can see, it's an OBF file that you can run in EXXI 5.5 or newer. Okay, so this one is a diagram of how SecureX orchestration works. So it has the possibility to work with our other cloud products like CES, that is our email cloud security solution, CASP, that is going to be Cloudlook, DNS umbrella, and any other EDR offering. Also on-premise, and now that we have our proxy functionality, we're going to be able to via REST API to integrate with, for example, ICE, NGFW, any endpoint, or any other server. Okay, so let's go to our dashboard. And for that, I'm gonna bring a different console. So this one looks a little bit different. And if it wants to, oh, this one is a little bit big for that one. So let me make it smaller. And now my Mac is acting clunky. Okay, let's see. This is a live event, so sorry for this. Okay, so you can see that we have our orchestration piece here. It's still under the SecureX dashboard. We have multiple workloads that we can get, for example, and that were already created by our TME or the team. So they constantly develop a specific workflows that you can use. And we have, for example, one that you can use for phishing investigation. We also have some other ones to directly submit a host to isolation or to take a forensic snapshot. So those are being created by our SecureX team. And actually, you can get used to those specific workflows. And here you can see the Cisco Secure workflows that were created, and we have a direct connection with our GitHub repository. So you can see all the files and all the ones that we have created. So we have here the phishing investigation I was talking about. We have also some other that we will be discussing later, like the Talos blog and how that works. We have also other ones for Meraki, for example, that I showed you guys before. So definitely our, also if you're a nice customer, we have one for remove a device from the identity group. So definitely multiple ways of doing automation in your network. And mainly those are there to give you like an example of what you can accomplish using SecureX and how you can modify some specific parts of those workflows so you can use it at your side or at your benefit. So let me give you like a quick like overview of this dashboard. So after that, you can see like the option of which specific ones I have run lately. And as you can see, at least in this one, I don't have anyone or any of those workloads that have been running. We have targets, and these targets are the devices that, for example, we would like to contact or we would like to do, for example, an HTTP connection. So if we have a server, for example, in the network, or a router that we would like to do an SSH session, or an SMTP server where we would like to send an email. So for example, you can see this one. This is an SMTP endpoint. That's the display name. It will give you an idea. There are no specific account keys that is needed, but if for some reason you need to specify a username and password, it gives you the option to do it. And we specify the specific server that we can use and the SMTP port that we're using, in this case, 587. So definitely useful at this point to, well, to create targets that later we can use in our workloads. Also, as you can see here, account keys, if for some reason you have to store, for example, credentials for authentication. So we have multiple ones, options, and you can create, for example, a new account key. And here you can see the multiple options. You can see here all the options that we have, for example, Meraki credentials. So if you would like to have a direct connection with Meraki, we can store the credentials here. Just make sure that before filling the information here, you select the right account type, because every time that you modify the account type, the options will change. So the information that you fill will disappear. So definitely be careful with that. In regards to variables, so this is a very important or a key concept when we're talking about orchestration. So we have global variables and also local variables that you can create in your network. So for example, if you create an integration with with WebEx, for example, you can send a message to a specific Teams room. So definitely you can store those credentials here. This one actually that you see here was an attempt of myself of doing it back, because we shouldn't see let's say the secret key or the token exposed to the public. And as you can see, there's a small difference here. So you see here string, and on this one you see secure string. So definitely it's a huge difference. And there are some of those that are for a test, but definitely it's a good practice to create those specific type of strings secure when we're talking about API calls. There are some calendared options that we have created. For example, as you can see, holidays, work days, and some specific US and holidays, for example, and also some other options like every Friday, every Monday. So in case if you would like to run a workflow on a specific day of the week or during a specific holiday, you can do it also during the weekend. And of course, you have the option to create one. So definitely something that you can explore. Schedules. So schedules give you the option to put together the calendars that you have created and assign it to a specific workflow. So for example, this one I created so I could run a specific workflow every day for a Talos blog that I created in the past. So definitely that's one of the best ways to ask a workflow to run on a specific time. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the workflows that I have. I'm gonna present a very easy one that is probably the first one that I created, and I think that it's a good way to start. So in this one, what I'm basically doing is that what I'm gonna put is an IP address on our threat response section of SecureX. What it will do is that it will grab that IP address, it will query a specific server that we have. It's actually it's a public server that is in the Ethernet, and it's actually here this one that it will query the specific server that it stores all the information. It will try to get me the username. You will be able to see all the variables, and it will post it on WebEx Teams. So let me just close this one, and let me go here to the dashboard, the SecureX dashboard. So we can go to threat response. And this is probably a very basic way to show you guys how it works. And for example, all the actions that we do, for example, when we would like to block or allow in a specific domain, those are done by workflows that somebody else has configured. So in here, I'm gonna tell to my threat response activities that I would like to query this specific workflow that I have previously created. And as you can see, it was able to retrieve that information. And I'm gonna share my WebEx thing. You can see that the bot was able to query the IP address and you can see that I'm not trying to trick you guys, it's 2:12 here in Texas, and as you can see, it's 2:12 p.m. here also in my WebEx application. So the person that had this specific IP address assigned was our CIO. Here we have the the email address assigned to that person, the address, the phone number. So we were able to correlate that information just by querying or by having the IP address of my network. So definitely that was useful. And if I go back to here to our orchestration piece, you will see, let's say, all the information that we got. So if I click here where it says view runs, this one is the last one that I was seeing. You will see in green how it was able to complete all the actions. And you will see, for example, which specific information it was able to query from based on the workflow that we have created. So as you can see, the IP address is here, 10.10.10. That's the one that I typed. And it was able to identify that the username was this one, ch dirich. And after that, we were able to get the information for that specific user, and that's the one that was posted in our WebEx Teams room. So definitely in a very nice and fast way, we were able to get that information. Something else that I would like to share, and this was very useful when we were fighting against Log4j, and this will be useful for every single new Talos blog that we are posting. So this one was developed by our TMEs, and basically what it does is that it goes to Talos Intelligence and query the latest blogs that were created by our security research team. So it will see all the observables, all the indication of compromises that we have seen, and it will tell you based on the information that it is querying from there if we have seen any of those IOCs in your network. So probably this one will take a little bit longer, but I'm gonna run it anyway. Also, if for some reason you identify that there's I don't know, a blog or a place where you can rely or get useful information, for example, for indication of compromises, or you identify that there's a person that says, hey, I'll be posting every week IOCs that I have identified since I have a research firm. So definitely you can put the URL here. And we have other workflow that will attempt to query this specific one. And this one that I have here is, let me actually move. Um, let me move it here. I think it's this one. No, it was actually part of the log4j. So if I put log4j in Talos Intelligence, so you can see here the block, and at the bottom, you will see that they decided not to post all the IOCs in a specific, well, here in the blog, since there were a lot, they decided to put it in a different page. So that's why I was able to grab this specific site. And as you can see, there are multiple IPs, multiple domains that we were able to query. So what I did is that I just simply grabbed this specific site and put it in one of the orchestration workflows, this one that will query a single blog post. In this case, it says Talos, but you can rename it and query every single site that you would like to do. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. And before we conclude, just remember that we have references so you can continue learning. We have information here in our cisco.com/go/SecureX. our TME team, in regards to SecureX, we have a completely dedicated team just to SecureX. So they have been building multiple videos, and you can find them in YouTube also, in case you would like to have access to those. So definitely it explains how to onboard devices, how to create integrations. There's actually a challenge of how many third-party integrations you can do in 3 minutes, in case you would like to attempt that. It's really funny how to do those and do like 10 integrations in less than 3 minutes. So definitely, if you would like to do it, I encourage you guys to do it. There's also content in regards to Cisco Live, and last year we submitted a lot of presentations in regards to Cisco Lives in to SecureX in Cisco Live, sorry, to make sure that all the key information regarding SecureX is being shared. Last but not least, the SecureX Academy. This is one of the main sources that I use to prepare to my SecureX presentations, and also when I have to set up a specific content for my customers. So definitely visit the SecureX Academy. Okay, and some other ones that you might find useful, the integration documents. And thank you, Scott and Yila, for posting those URLs. I know that probably might be hard to just copy those from slides or gather those. So definitely thank you very much, guys. And also we have the URLs from GitHub, where we have all the documentation, serverless information, and information in regards all our third-party integrations. And the last one, just encourage you guys, if you haven't done or let's visit our DevNet side. That's really, really useful when we're talking about API integration and this movement of network automation. So if you haven't taken like the DevNet Associate certification, I encourage you to take it. Or if not, if you're just willing to learn a little bit more of how API works within the Cisco space and how can you automate different activities, this is a pretty good option. There are even some sandbox where you can test devices, so you don't have to actually own specific devices to run some tests. So that's definitely a good way to gain experience in regards to to SecureX and in general about DevNet. Okay, some additional videos, and I hope you can review our presentation after we finish, and in case you missed any of those links. So without no further comments, that's what I have. I don't know if there are any standing questions in our presentation, Scott or Lydia. I think that Scott has done a really good job.
Hi there. Yeah, he has been doing a great job, like even like posting extra links. Actually, the ones that Scott posted are extra from the ones that are in your presentation. And I just placed it into the chat again, the link where you can see and download the presentation. Remember, it includes all the resources and useful links that Luis just mentioned. I'm not sure, Scott, if you have any extra questions. I just have 2 more questions, Luis.
Sure, sounds good. Yeah, so I think all the questions, great questions, by the way, everyone, were answered. But if you have any further questions later down the road, feel free to reach out to us and we can definitely help out.
That's it. We're in the last call for the questions, and I have 2 questions that I would like to actually share with you. The first one is the following: is SecureX the same as CRT?
So I think the question they're asking is it the same as Cisco Threat Response, CTR? And if so,
Yes.
yes, it is a combined feature. So basically SecureX and CTR is one of the same.
So it's actually, it's part of SecureX, right?
That is correct, yeah.
Great. And I have an interesting question here. It says like, what protocols are used for SecureX integration and the rest of the security equipment? Like, do you guys use any specific protocol?
We use API calls. So the system is based on API. So it would be web calls, basically. And that's the main communication for the integration portion of it for both the enrichment and orchestration side.
Thank you so much, Scott. And I have another one. Like, this is actually not from this session, but it's a question that I have seen in different events, not only from the Cisco community, but like from other communities in Cisco and spaces. And security is great and it's attracting a lot of people, but so many people are asking, like, is there a certification or a course that we can take just that covers SecureX?
Oh, that's a good question. Luis, I don't know if you might know. I mean, the only thing I can think of is like the DevNet certification, but that doesn't really cover specifically SecureX. It's more of from a DevNet approach, APIs and stuff that you would use on, say, the orchestration side.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that basically at this point, we have not included in, let's say, any of the Cisco security certification space. But if you would like to learn more about APIs and definitely DevNet and DevNet Associate and DevNet Specialist, and now we have DevNet Expert. If you are willing to go into the CCIE journey of DevNet, so definitely we encourage you guys to do it. But a specific certification for SecureX, no, we don't have it.
Great. And I guess that's something that might help out is actually the useful resources that you mentioned, right? You got a lot of information in DevNet. You got a lot of information in the academy that you mentioned, Luis. So perhaps there's not a specific certification, but there are so many things that covers like part of SecureX. All right. Well, thank you very much to all the audience and to you, Luis and Scott. You have done an amazing job. This is actually the first English event that we have in this new year. So you have been doing great. And we are so happy that you have taken this information as very valuable. If you have any extra questions, we will have an open forum event and Ask Me Anything following this session. And it's going to be open till next Friday, January 28th. So we will be placing all the questions there, and we also will be preparing an FAQ document that includes all the questions that were covered during this session. All right. I'm going to place this link on the chat as well. And well, if you have any extra comments, please let us know. We are adding a survey just right here once you close down this session. Please help us out to complete it. It just gives us an idea about how we are doing, how we can improve, and above everything, what kind of topics, what specific sessions you would like to see in future. All right. And once again, well, thank you very much. And I wish all of you have an amazing time. So thank you, Luis, and thank you, Scott, and thank to the audience. And we might see in the upcoming months of this year.
Thanks, everyone.